All right, everybody, welcome back to the Queen City Soccer Show. I am Level Up Luke, and we are able to bring you a Twitter Spaces from the Wednesday night game following Charlotte's 2-2 draw to Orlando. That was an action-packed evening. It was a lot of fun. So hang out with us, have a good time. Thank you to everybody who participated and listened in. We appreciate you guys. Typical disclaimer on these spaces. Once again, this is like hanging out with your friends at the bar after the game. And don't take it seriously. This is just instant reactions. They may not be the most informed, but it's just for fun. So we'll be back with our weekly show and preview of the Philadelphia Union game. We're going to be joined by a special guest, and we should have that to you in your feeds on Saturday morning. So stay tuned for the real Queen City Soccer Show. In the meantime, enjoy our fun post-game party Twitter Spaces debrief here after a action-packed game full of, anything you can imagine, soccer drama, and we'll see you guys soon.
All right. I am going to go ahead and get started. I am coming to you live from the streets of Charlotte, North Carolina, after Charlotte FC has played to a draw down 10 men against Orlando, 2-2 final score. Joe Garcia, I have you up here. Go ahead, tell me, what are your thoughts on the game, man?
Let's see where to start. This should have been a win. If not for that red to Scotty Arfield, this definitely would have been a win. They definitely had the better opportunities. They were really pushing forward a lot. They were getting some really good chances on net, as opposed to the previous match where they had, 14 shots, but only 2 on frame. I think like within the first 10, 15 minutes of the match, they had something like 3 or 4 shots on frame. They were really getting and some good quality chances too. I don't know. I've looked at the video a couple of times. I personally think it was a yellow. I know a lot of people are saying it's a dead red. I don't know. I think it could have gone either way. I'm just pissed that it's a red because it forced us to be defensive, pretty defensive for the rest of the match for such a long time. Yeah, I still don't think that Pat's a starter. Unfortunately, I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he just needs to sit behind somebody and learn from a real striker on how to refine his skills. He's raw, man, and he's definitely got talent. And hopefully he'll be one of our guys for a while. But he's just not the guy right now. You could see he's pushing too hard, and he's trying too hard. And don't get me wrong, that assist on the Bronico goal was beautiful, but I'm looking at the whole match as a total. I'm looking at previous matches in total, and sometimes his hold up play is great, but I'm just not. We need a striker that can cause the other teams to have their asses clench up a little bit, and we don't have that right now.
I love the way you put that. That was eloquent and poetic. We do need a striker who will make the opponents clench a little bit. And is Pat that guy? I think actually, arguably, he might be. Let me kick it over to Jonathan Wilson. What did you think about the game tonight?
It's very mixed emotions, and getting the red card so early was just rough and really kind of took us out of our game. I thought Diani struggled a bit. He seemed like he made a couple really bad passes early in the match. Maybe he kind of came around sort of towards the end, but when we were playing with 10 men, it was just tough absorbing all that pressure. And oh my gosh, I was so stoked to see Bronico get that finish. And man, that is a extremely tough finish. Basically going full speed, clean little chip, and to hit the back of the net. Just could not be more stoked for that guy. And I think I tweeted it at you, man. I was like, 1 Bronico equals 2 Orlando SC players. So I'm glad that he got the goal, but mixed emotions. It felt like a loss. The tie that felt like a loss for sure. But absorbing that much pressure for that long in the match was rough to watch because I was just like gripped the whole time. And both times they scored, it was just too much of the ball in our box for too long, and it seemed inevitable. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely know where you're coming from. However, I thought we had control in a lot of the game.
I like Joe's take. We definitely need a striker, not clinical enough again in the final third. Ultimately, I think that's going to have to be resolved through addition. Patrick, I love Patrick. I'm waiting for the breakout game. It's going to happen. He's going to score a hat trick one game, and then the goals are just going to flow. I believe that wholeheartedly. But again, it's like he's just not at 100% in the attack.
Well, he pretty much had that against Red Bull last year. But Len Kornacki, I got you on here, man. What'd you think about the game?
Wow. It was made my blood pressure go up a little bit for about 90 minutes, or at least the last 60. Huh. I thought the team did well to stay in it, and to score a goal shorthanded is unbelievable. I hear what people are saying. I just jumped on, so I don't know what the comments were except for a minute ago. But I will say that Patrick, in that goal that Bronico scored, Patrick was just an unbelievable warrior. I mean, that took a lot of guts and grit to be able to take that ball and create that space and get that ball over to him. Um, I, I agree that Patrick needs probably a little help on finishing. But one of the things that became apparent tonight was, and on that goal was, wouldn't it make sense if we thought about keeping somebody always, especially when we're breaking out offensively, 10 or 15 feet or yards around Patrick? Because so many times he gets a ball and it'll bounce off of him or a defender and just be there in the open for somebody to run onto, and we don't have any players nowhere to be found. That's why I keep thinking, I wonder if something like a 4-4-2 formation might make sense. Today we started different. We started with a 4-2-3-1, which I thought was great, and I thought Scotty Arfield could play that kind of middle 10 that didn't have to be as fast, because Vargas and Abada on the wings would take care of the speed, and Scotty could take care of the finesse and be support for Patrick. So it's really disappointing that he got sent off. I saw the replay from my seats on my phone, and I know that we've seen calls like that didn't go our way, but all things considered, I thought it was an okay call. It was a dangerous play on his part. So all in all, it's disappointing because the way the game started, Luke, I don't know if you thought the same way, but after 10 or 15 minutes, I thought we could win that game 3-4 zip, and then to have Scotty sent off and then be in a dogfight the rest of the game. We did well to stay in it and get the point, but disappointing from the standpoint that we looked poised to finally dominate a team from start to finish.
Len, I could not have said it better myself. I said that out loud. We had friend of the pod, Mike Mecklenburger, with me in my extra seat for this game. So, I mean, he heard me say after our first goal, okay, we're dominating. Orlando ain't shit. This is a 3 or 4-0 game, is literally what I said. So, imagine my disappointment with the Scotty Arfield foul, which I did not see in real time. We had a group of people that walked in front of our aisle to go back to their seats, and I didn't see the tackle. And when I looked up at the screen for the replay, they never showed it.
No.
So I didn't see the tackle. And then I asked for it on Twitter, and I got a response from a listener. Oh, that's a clear and obvious red. It's cleats up. And my tweet was, does anybody have a video of this foul? Because I looked on Twitter, I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Somebody finally provided it, and I could see where it could be a strong yellow to a soft red in real time. But if you have to go back and look for a clear and obvious error, there was no clear and obvious error with the officiating. And I fucking hate this about the MLS refs, that they lean on VAR as a crutch when their specific instructions are to look for a clear and obvious officiating error, right?
Yeah.
So if that is your instruction, this did not fit that qualification. Was it a red card? Technically, by the letter of the law, from behind, cleats up, yes, red card, yes. But if you call it in real time, I can absolutely understand a yellow card. So to overturn it for a clear and obvious error, it simply was not there. That completely influenced the game.
You
I'm going to
know,
kick it back over to Joe Garcia and Len.
you know what I'd like to know? I don't remember what timestamp it was in the game. To be honest, I'd have to go back and look through. It was definitely in the second half. There was a spot where Pat was going after the ball. A defender went down, and Pat went to jump over him, and the defender put his cleat up into like Pat's thigh
Yeah,
/ groin. Why was that
an
not even a
intentional
yellow
movement.
card?
Hey, Joe,
Dean,
let me kick it over to Bridget with Queen's Pitch.
Yep.
yeah, Dean was extremely upset about it after the game in the presser. He was very, he can't be angry, but he was very upset. He said there's no reason that VAR should be changing the course of a game. He said the ref was 5 feet away at the time that he made the call that it was a yellow. So why should VAR get to go back and change it when the ref was right there? He saw it. There was it was nothing that was unclear. So basically VAR changed it. He said that's not right when VAR didn't, get Patrick that one time when he was in the box, and then they also didn't get Bentaki's handball. So why in the world were they allowed this game to change the entire course of the game when the ref was right there and he clearly saw it?
Bridget, can you tell me more about the post-game press conference?
Yeah, Dean was very impressed with Bronico. He was very upset with Arfield. He said that was not a red. He didn't think it was a red at all. I think it could have been a red, but he said there was no way it was a red. So he wanted Arfield out there. He thought Arfield could do better defensively with the style of play that Orlando has out there. He said that he said he was okay. He was very upset that they lost, that they didn't lose, but he's upset that they didn't win. The team feels like they should have won that game. That they were upset with themselves, that he felt we could have done better, but because we were down to 10 men, then we did the best that, he could have expected, but he did think that we should have won the game.
Bridget, the script writers for MLS put out Brant Bronico as the athlete to be interviewed this week leading up to the game. And Dean had some comments about Brant coming into this matchup. He ended up with the decisive second goal. Did Dean mention anything about Brant Bronico in the postgame?
Yeah, Dean says that Brant Bronico is one of the best runners that he's ever coached, and that includes anyone that ever coached. So even in the Premier League, he says Bronico is just a workhorse, and he sees Bronico more as he's putting Bronico more in the attacking place as opposed to just being defensive, and he sees a lot out of Bronico that way. He says he thinks that we can use Bronico. Obviously we have Leo and Vargas and that, but there's those chances that we can also use Bronico in that final third. So I think he's going to start using, he really loves Bronico. Like, he literally said Bronico's the best runner he's ever coached. And that says a lot.
I just have to say, Bronico's chip shot for that goal is everything I have wanted to see from Bronico, because he gets this look in his eye where he wants to score the goal, and he grabs the ball, and he gets touch one, touch two, and then maybe I'll take a shot. And with this one, it was instinctual. The ball came to him. He hit it. He did a nice little chip shot, and it was right into the goal. And that is what I wanted to see from Bronico, is that instinctual first touch. So I'm so proud of our Bronny bro for scoring that goal. Unfortunately, we had some defensive missteps here later in the game.
He said Privet he does blame that goal on Privet. He said those two goals, he wasn't really happy with the fact that we conceded them because they weren't goals that we should have conceded. He said Privet was the reason that Kalina messed up on the last one. That Privet's feet work was just not where it needed to be, and that those are just little teeny tiny things that if they change those, then it sets things off a little bit different. So he did say he thought that it was Privet just being off just a little bit. Which caused that second goal.
I thought Privet had an amazing game. I thought he had a lot of positives. Len, with you watching this, and especially the defense being down a man, what were your thoughts on our defensive line?
I thought we did pretty. I thought Byrne and Milando were just unbelievable. Byrne at 90 minutes is pressing. Here we are down a man, and he's pressing them because he knew if they got the ball in the final third, we were outnumbered, and it was going to be really dangerous. So he kept pressing. But even if not that he got beat, if the ball got behind him, between him and the goal, he would run back like it was like the game just started. He was unbelievable, I thought. And I thought Melanda was pretty solid on the back line. That first goal, it was hard to see. I mean, that goal was on my side where I sit, but there were bodies in front of me. It was hard to see what happened, but I think that's what Bridget was talking about. Maybe Privet had a little mess up and got, and it looked like Kalina just kind of got caught and didn't know where people were going to be. The first goal was really kind of soft. The second goal, it looked like we were just outnumbered, and they wore us down, so to speak. But I thought the back line, I thought Urinen had a great game too, especially before Scotty got sent off. Urinen, I think he's been really I mean, look, his shot off the crossbar, if he would have hit that at 2-zip, that would have been a whole different game,
Oh, he was
So,
great.
yeah.
Gary was great. And by the way, Lynn, you were on the monitor. I don't know if you know that, but you were on the big screen. I saw you. I was like, oh,
I
that's
was?
Lynn.
Ah,
Yeah, right before the game, you were on it because I was like, "There's Lynn," and like Kara didn't know who you were, but I did, and I was like, "That's Lynn,"
oh,
and so
cool.
I
I
saw
didn't know
you.
that. Ah,
Yeah,
wasn't
sorry to get
paying
you
it.
sidetracked.
Good to know. Thanks for that. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I thought the back line, I don't know what everybody else thought. I thought the back line in general played well. The Privet mishap was hard for me to see. I thought Diani was getting tired. I thought he might sub out Diani a little bit quicker than he did because he was visibly getting tired. But all in all, I mean, I think it was one of those things where you walk away going, all right, we scored a goal, gave it up, but good thing we scored that second goal shorthanded because we got a point out of the game. But it's really disappointing because the way we started the game, man, we were hell on fire, and I thought, man, here's our 3-4 nothing game. We deserve one this year. This is going to be it. And then when Scotty got sent off, it was a big deflation. Ah.
It was. And Len, I mean, dude, I said multiple times to Mike late in the game, Byrne is playing like a man with his pants, I mean, his hair on fire. He is running his ass off.
He
And
was.
oh my God, I have
Unbelievable.
not seen this out of
Yeah.
Byrne.
Yeah. He's having a great year.
Ronan
He's
was
having a
doing.
great
He is, and Ronan was doing that in the first half, like you said. Ronan was all over the place. I was like, I had told Kara, I was like, oh my gosh, look at Ronan. He's literally doing a burn, and then Burns all over. I was like, he's gonna burn like a line in the field. He's running so hard on that. I mean, they were just all over that ball. I think
and
the
that
back line did well. I think they just like Dean said, Andrew just had that one little mishap, and that's just little things that they can learn.
Yeah, you know what? As you said that, Bridget, I thought that Byrne and Euronin were the reason why that the first 20 or 30 minutes before Scotty got sent off, we were dominating so much because it's sort of like we were putting a lot of pressure on them, and I noticed that with those two guys pressing up front, it just started to create a lot of mismatches and numerical advantages in the final third. And it was the first time I saw, and then plus with Scotty in the middle and pushing up a little bit. I thought for once, like, oh, wow, look at that. We got a lot of numbers around the 18-yard box. We might score more than one goal tonight. I was so excited. It was so
I thought we were
frustrating.
gonna be like. I told Kara, I was like, "Look, Kara, we might score 5-0 tonight. We might."
Yeah.
And then it was like our field got the red, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, here we go."
Uh, could have been worse.
I think he's been excellent ever since Leagues Cup last year. He's played his rear off since Leagues Cup, and anybody who thinks otherwise really needs to go back and watch every match since Leagues Cup last season.
Joe, I completely agree. I think Nathan Byrne looked like an all-star, an MLS all-star tonight, because I cannot think of a wingback who can play with more energy and more passion than he was doing. And I was looking at Nathan Byrne muscling and bodying guys constantly, and I thought the arrogance, the absolute attitude that he was playing with, my first thought was, oh my God, this guy's been training with Grant Prodico. I see so much of Brant Bronico in the way that he's acting. That was my first and only thought was, my God, Nathan Byrne is a dog. He's getting after it, but he was throwing stiff arms. He was throwing basically punches at guys and just bodying them down in a way that if you're an attacking player, you're usually not going to dive from. So they were kind of tactical, but very, very physical plays. I was so impressed with Nathan Byrne tonight. And Bridget, from last year, like I have not been a Nathan Byrne fan, but the way he has adapted this year, he is one of my favorite players.
Same. He was my Carol will tell you. He was my eternal wrath last year at the beginning of the season. I think for for the whole first half of the season, I wrathed him like every single game. And then like at the end, he is my favorite. I just sit there and yell Bernie Byrne the whole game because I mean I think without Nathan Byrne, we would not be where we're at all.
You're right, Bridget. I remember listening to all those podcasts last year. You were dissing him.
I was hoping the same would happen for Bill, but and Breck, but those two it just hasn't. But I'll go with Bernie Byrne. He's my fave now.
But you know what the difference is this year with Byrne is that he's playing in a system that makes sense for him. He's not being expected to play that inverted role, come inside, and then be caught totally out of position. He can recover from where Dean Smith, even when he pushes up front, he can still recover from where he is now. He couldn't recover when he was playing like inside at the top of the 18. With Latanzio last year. So I
That's
think
what
that's
Kara told me. And Carol will be happy she's listening, but that's exactly what she kept preaching to me last year. She's like, just give him a chance. Give him a chance. But I'm so glad we have him now.
Len, speaking of recovery, did you see that play where Byrne busted all the way back and destroyed that Orlando attacker?
I did.
Like, oh my God. Like, tell me that's not an MLS All-Star worthy play. That was a highlight of the game, was Byrne's defensive effort from getting back from the midfield, overtaking the attacker, and single-handedly destroying him.
That's what I meant before.
Even
when somebody got behind him, he had the ability, and even late in the game, to recover. Like, I never saw stamina from him like that before. I never. Hey, I don't know what you thought, Bridget and Luke, but I thought we were kind of fortunate that it was a cooler night than it was Saturday, because playing short of man, I think it kept the boys a little fresher late in the game.
Yeah, maybe, but let me jump in like on that point and just say Jerry Uronen was gassed in the second half, especially later on. The dude was huffing and puffing, and he kept looking over to the sideline. And I really thought we were going to sub him out, but like I don't know for who. He was out of position several times. I would say like a few Orlando attacking opportunities were because Uronen absolutely fell apart in the second half. And that was weird and disappointing because I have not seen him behave like that, and it did not feel like a super hot or humid night.
I think it was just the fact that he is coming back from injury. We have to remember, he's only been back a couple of games. But then also, they were playing with a man down, and he was going all over he was all over the place the first half. So I think that's what happened. Dean said in the presser that he's thinking about, he'll have to change the lineup come Saturday because the guys were just completely gassed after this game.
Well, as Dean calls him, Jerry deserves a game off because that dude was absolutely destroyed in the second half of that game. And I'm not going to question the Gaffer's subs because I agree with them for the most part. And I want to open it up and ask you guys what you think about the substitutions.
Uronen was hard for me to see because he was on the other side of the field from where I sit. I'm on the bench side, so in that second half, he would have been on the far side.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was on my close side, so that's why I was paying attention.
He could always put João Pedro there. He's played there before. I think hasn't he started a couple games back there when Uronen was out?
No, he has, and we thought Tavares. No, we thought when Tavares came in that it was João Pedro, and then when we saw it was Tavares, we were so confused. We're like, Yuri can't fucking run right now. Like, what are you doing? Why are you subbing in an attacking player when your wingback who can allow a goal to come in is not able to run?
Yeah, to go back to your question about the subs, I thought Abada coming out made sense. I figured that would happen. I thought exactly Bronico would be a good sub for him because we needed somebody who could run like crazy, being down a man. I was surprised they took out Vargas at the same time because he seemed to have pretty good energy still. And I don't know that it was necessarily a bad decision, but I think it was right to take Abada out. I thought he waited 5 minutes. I was waiting for Diani to come out about 5 minutes before he did. Because he was in there when we gave up the second goal. Not that it was his fault either, but you could see he was getting a little tired too. So it's hard. I think it's tough when you're down on the field and you got to make those choices in real time and you're trying to manage the game. So I can't really criticize Dino, but The only one I would have done probably a little earlier was taking Deani out. I was thinking more like Junior Urso to come in for him, because he would have been a tough little guy who runs pretty well, who could cause some havoc, and try to break up some of their flow in our final third. But hard to criticize.
When you were talking about, with him or Ronan, I have to go back and watch Ronan again, but when Dean was talking about it, he says the ball goes right through Privet's legs on that when it gets that goal. So I think he's implying that Privet should have moved his legs faster since it went right through them, basically nutmegged him for the goal.
Gotcha. It did look like a little bit of a jumble back there. Like Polina was surprised it went in. Like where did that come from?
Oh, what an exciting game! First of all, it's a Wednesday night in MLS. Take the point. We defended the fortress. We take the point. Down 10 men. I'm taking away a giant W from this game in terms of our team's resilience. Bronico scoring the second goal, and I mean, I don't like Dean putting the blame on our rookie minimum salary defensive player. Played his ass off the entire night. I haven't subbed him out all
But Luke,
season.
he wasn't like Luke. Don't get him twisted. He wasn't like Andrew lost us the game or anything like that. He was just basically saying Andrew's, mistake led to that second goal. That's basically.
I love Dean. Before the game, he was, waving at the crowd and getting us amped up on our side of the field before the game kicked off. So Dean is amazing. I love him, but I think that's something that could be taken out of context by him to attack a player who had an amazing game. And Andrew Privet, who, like I said, I thought he had a 9 or a 10 out of 10 kind of game. Like, amazing defender, should be an MLS All-Star. Nathan Byrne, same thing. Mwanda, that injury, I was very scared because if we have to sub out Mwanda, who's behind him?
Yeah,
Bill.
That had me worried too.
Oh yeah, I saw Bill warming up, and
I don't think he necessarily blamed him. I think he said it's unfortunate that happened to Privet, and he said ultimately, though, we shouldn't have given up 2 goals.
We're down to 10 men because our Scottish player did a Scottish attacking play that didn't work out for Scotty. So, I posted on here, that's a Scottish yellow, but I looked back at the replay in slow motion. So it was a stupid decision to do that. Attack from behind, slide tackle, cleats up into somebody else's ankles. That's a bad decision. So we were down to 10 men. And when you have 11 on 10, goals tend to happen.
It seemed to me like tonight, and everybody can chime in here, like it was the return of Patrick getting mugged with no calls against him. Did Dino mention anything about that at all, or was that kind of quiet?
He did mention the fact, like when he was talking about the fact that Scotty got the red, he did mention that Patrick had a couple calls that were not done against him when he was taken down. He didn't specifically. He's not allowed to talk, specifically about the refs all the way, but we can get him to talk sometimes. But he did bring up Patrick. He does bring up Patrick's not getting calls, and other people getting calls. He does bring that up.
Yeah, it seemed like there was some fairness for the last few games, at least they were making some calls, but tonight it seemed to the return of you can mug Patrick because he's a big guy, That was disappointing.
I think that's a true line.
He did. You were talking about subs. Bender. He did talk about Bender because I love me some Ben Bender. He did say that Bender's not ready to start full time. Obviously start or anything, but he was very impressed with Bender's play, and he sees Bender as a part coming back and playing more and more and more minutes because he was impressed by Bender today as well.
Hey, Bender had a great substitute appearance. Honestly, if Bender had scored, I think we're going to do away with the Pride Month for the rest of June with Charlotte FC.
That's a touchy subject.
Yeah, don't bring that up. We were so scared. I was like, if Bender scored, we didn't know what we was going to do because then we had the presser. But and he would have to talk, but he didn't. But yeah, no, he was very impressed with Bender getting back out there. He says Bender's knee doesn't even think about it at all now. And Bender's very comfortable out there. And like I said, when we interviewed Bender, he just wants to score and assist. So let's get the boy out there.
No, he was really good on the ball. Technically, I was very impressed with him. I want to kick it over to some new speakers. We have 3 guys. I'm going to rotate in here. Billy, what'd you think about the game tonight?
I thought I mean, obviously a man down. We played pretty good for being a man down. I thought Vargas played really well, especially in the counterattack. I know Dean had mentioned that at halftime he thought about bringing on an extra midfielder, but he didn't because the counterattack with Vargas and Abada. And Vargas found Abada several times on the other side of the field in counterattacks, setting him up.
I lost Billy at the end there, but Kyle, I'm going to go ahead and invite you up here.
I'm not as diagnostical as y'all, but I thought, the red card, I mean, it's close. I mean, they go to the review, they overturn it from a yellow to a red. It is what it is. It just your team into a mind, but overall, only giving up 2 goals. Overall, with a man down, I thought our defense played extraordinary. But the 3 things that stood out to me, I know we talked about the subs a little bit once I got on here. I mean, even the announcers on the Charlotte FC or the Apple TV, they were even questioning why Abada got taken out. I thought Abada was really hot and he was playing really, really well and aggressively trying to get a goal there late down the stretch. Again, I'm not a coach, so I mean, I'm sure he has his reasons. And like the guy said, it's hard to make those decisions in real time. But I just think, you got to keep your hot guys in, but that's just me. Um, Speaking on Pat, I love Pat, but I thought he struggled a little bit tonight. I'm not saying that he didn't get any calls or whatever. That's a different story from another day. But I just thought when he drove to the goal, twice, he was getting double teamed, and I just didn't think he made a great enough effort to get the ball to a teammate or whatever. And again, I don't know if he just didn't have the help there or whatever, but I mean, twice he ricocheted off the opponent's leg, and it was a turnover. So I just think that has to get worked on a little bit. And then thirdly, it was a great atmosphere. It looked like it was a really good game. I thought we had our chances, but looking at the stats and everything, I mean, Orlando really dominated the game, and to be honest, I mean, they had their shots as well. So this easily could have been an L for the Charlotte FC, but overall, it ended in a tie, and I think that's the best that we could ask for.
Hey, Kyle, appreciate it, buddy. I will say a few things on your points here. The overall stats are misleading because Charlotte FC played the entire second half down a man. So the possession stats got completely skewed out of whack. And I saw at one point in the second half late, it was 19 shots for Orlando to 9 shots for Charlotte. That was like, I think 7 shots for Charlotte to like 2 shots from Orlando in the first half. That being said, Charlotte needs to do more on the attacking side. Big Pat, he can't do everything by himself. He had a bad game. That happens. And from the opening 20 minutes, Pat looked down. He looked like he was lacking energy and he was not having a good game, and he still had good opportunities. My problem is his finishing. That being said, late in the game, when the other players were getting tired, he was bodying guys and making plays. I am not mad at Pat for this game. I'm mad at some of our strategy when we're down to 10 men. Like I think Len said earlier, there was nobody within 15 yards of him. Like, what is he supposed to do? He played the ball back to Bronico, and between when he went up for the ball and passed it, Bronico moved himself out of position. So, like, what is he supposed to do? He can't look in 2 directions at once. Now, Mike had a good point sitting next to me. He's got to keep his eyes down, keep his eyes on the ball, and follow through on his kicks to finish stronger. So, yeah, there are some technical things that he needs to do better, but like the attacks on Patrick, I don't get when you pull out Vargas and Liel Abada, his 2 wingers. First of all, if I'm Dean, I'm going to lock Liel Abada and Patrick Ajaman in a fucking gymnasium together with a soccer ball and not let them out until they can pass to each other. Because that annoyed the hell out of me that they had no chemistry. Sorry, I'm getting heated.
To be honest with you, I would have, instead of taking out Vargas and Abada at the same time, since he was bringing in Brandt anyway, and Brandt has developed in the previous 2 games some decent chemistry with Liel, I would have, if you're going to take out anybody, take out Vargas first. Although I thought Vargas had a really good game. But rather than take both of them out, I would have brought in Brandt and see what he could have cooked up with Liel, because there were a lot of times in this match, especially in the first half, where I think Liel was visibly disappointed in the fact that he was wide open and nobody looked up to see that he was open and getting him the ball. And I think that maybe if Dean would have, and I'm not blaming Dean for like the loss or whatever, but I think maybe if Dean would have thought to sub in Brandt and sub off Vargas, maybe Liel and Bronny could have got something cooking like they had in the previous matches. You never know. And then if nothing works out, then you come out because obviously he's still coming back from injury. It's hot out. He's got to get used to playing in this heat. Although it was cooler tonight, like everybody said, but it's still hot coming over from Scotland. He's not used to playing in this heat, so I would get that. But I would have given them a chance to build some chemistry a little bit, and who knows what would have happened. But
Yeah, I mean, we talk about MLS needs an adjustment period, and Leo Labata shows that MLS, even the great players who show the flashes of brilliance, Leo quit on several plays that I watched on my side of the field where the ball wasn't immediately in his zone. So he completely quit and would just stand still or walk slowly instead of actually going after the ball. So that kind of pissed me off a little bit, like as an American football background player. I didn't love that, but I know there's an adjustment period, so I hope the coaching and training staff can like better coach Liel to actually go after the ball sometimes because Pat was passing behind Liel, and instead of circling back, he would just stand there. Billy, you're up.
Yeah, I had bad service earlier, so it cut out. I don't know where it cut out on me at, but I'll send with the counter attack with Vargas and Abada. I thought Vargas found him he found him several times with some good play through the counter attack, and I know Dean
That's
had
right.
mentioned in the press conference how he didn't bring on an extra midfielder at half because he liked them in the counter there. And then I did think it was confusing to take both wingers off at the same time though with substitutions.
Well, it seemed like a formation change, and then it kind of wasn't. I'm gonna tune over to CLT, Sports Fanatic.
So I know everybody's talking about the subs there. I think the whole reason for that is you have to remember we just played Saturday, played tonight, and we've got a game on Saturday again. And so I think Abada's been pitch count around 60 minutes. So at the 65th, he came off. I think with the card to our field, it's going to make Tavares probably be the sub for Patrick up top. So there goes one of your wingers. So I think that's the reason you saw both of them come off, before the 70th minute, just because we've got to save some legs, for the next game. Some of my concern, I hear what everyone's saying. The counterattack is where we were doing well, and we were feeding the ball to Abada into space. My issue is when you watch 90% of our offense, Abada, Patrick, Vargas, they're all standing with their back to the goal we're shooting at, looking back at our team, and nobody's making runs. They're waiting for the ball to be played directly to their feet, and then they're trying to play off of that. And that's why I feel, I'm not saying he was great or anything. I feel like that's why Capetti did not do well here. Capetti was a mover up top and constantly tried to make some runs, and nobody would feed that ball. And it just doesn't seem like, and I know we need a creative midfielder, but outside of just playing a ball over the top, we don't have a way of linking and playing players on a through ball. All of our stuff comes in, then they have to turn toward goal, and then they try to move the ball again. That's something that I feel like they've got to figure out how to change because that is making our offense very stagnant outside of the counter.
That's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. I saw some of that, and I will counter. It's not that they're not looking for those balls. I saw specifically Patrick Ajman in the first half at least twice about to make a run and literally prep and do it and signal that he's doing it. And the guys in the midfield didn't service him, and he would stop and turn around and visibly frustrated signal back at them like, "What are you doing? I was wide open." So there's still a lack of connectivity. I saw the same thing with Liel Abada, at least once. So I was kind of, once I saw it from Pat, I started looking for it. And I'm like, okay, the guys in the front, Scotty Arfield tried to make one of those runs in the first half. He signaled up, okay, I'm ready, and charged. And the ball didn't come. And he turned around and was like, what are you doing? Like, I'm wide open. If Scotty Arfield at 35 years old is trying to do it, like, our wingers can do it, our strikers can do it, and we just haven't gotten to the point in Dean's process where they're like practicing that or trying to do it. That's my guess.
But we've heard that's what they're working on, and you can see them doing, I would think, repetitions that would work towards that. Just like they're working on finishing too. It's not coming together as quickly as we thought it would.
We've heard from Dean that he wanted to build from the spine or the backbone of the team, and he's certainly done that. Like the defense looks solid, even when we were down to 10 men. Our defensive line, for the most part, I thought looked pretty good. I thought Yuri was gassed in the second half and should have absolutely been taken out. I thought Byrne looked like a fucking demon out there. I mean, the dude was. I cannot tell you how impressed I was with Byrne. My goodness, I was so impressed with Byrne. I mean, that was an MVP performance from Byrne.
I feel, yeah, Burn. I mean, in my Sunday league that I play, if I could have an ounce of Burn's energy, I would be grateful. One of the things that Burn does really well is, I mean, his ability to track back and recover is amazing. I do have one concern, and I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it was being 10 men. I'm not sure. The goal we gave up to draw the game at 1-1, we gave up that exact goal, and I don't remember what game it was. It was the same thing. Byrne was pinched in more like in the center of our goal, loses the person on the back post. They flip the ball over. He tries to recover. They head it into the middle, and it scores there. So when I saw that happen, I was like, we've already watched that goal, so that kind of concerned me. But the second thing I wanted to ask is, I noticed on Saturday, Vargas at many times was completely gassed, was waving to the sideline to be subbed out, and Dean was not having it. He did not sub Vargas, I don't think, until like, what was it, 70 something or 80 something minute. So I'm wondering, is he sending a message to certain players on fitness level or something for not subbing? Because, like I said, I know Vargas was begging to be subbed off Saturday, and I know we're saying we saw Yuri was gassed tonight.
Did you guys hear anything talking with Dean this week where the rest of the team can learn something from him?
I didn't catch anything like that, but I will say, number one on defense, I think the second goal was a much bigger problem for Dean tonight. Like the first goal was pretty. The first Orlando goal was pretty. The second goal, it looked like Andrew Privet had sort of a rare miscalculation, and Dean told us in the press conference that he wasn't entirely happy with that goal. But I also think it speaks to how impressive Andrew's run has been. That this seemed like a subpar performance from him. Definitely agree with you that Nathan stood out a lot. Dean agreed with he got a pretty leading question on Melanda from I think it was from Carol Walton, that did his heart drop when he saw Melanda go down for so long. I was right next to a deal when he came off the pitch and was doing concussion protocol, and the doctor and the trainer was checking his eyes and making sure he was still good to go. So I think it also speaks to like how vital a piece of the equation, like we all know that a deal is. Um, that we all almost had a heart attack when he went down for so long. But the one before I forget, the one plug I have to give here is that today is a really good day for Charlotte FC as an organization. While this wasn't like the result anybody wanted, it's still a 2-2 draw is still pretty good when you go down a man. Over in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, our U17 team with the academy won their game 3-0 today. They have made it to the semifinals of the MLS Next Cup. So, for the first time in Charlotte FC organization history, they are 2 wins away from the organization's first national title. I believe our U20s have had a regional title, but if the U17s can win 2 more games, uh, they will take home the first national title for the organization, and I think that's a testament to the
work that James Osborne with the U17 specifically, and Brian Scales as the director of the academy have been doing. So lots of great things going on in the organization, and a lot of stuff to look forward to.
Hey, Sam, thank you so much. I'm telling you guys, I love our Charlotte FC Academy. I love our pipeline. These guys, the coaches, the players, everybody involved work every day to become better. And I watch these guys on Apple Plus. These Generation Adidas Cup and MLS Next Cup games are streamed on Apple Plus, highlight games at least. So we get our U17s, our U15s on national broadcast media online. So check that out because I watch those games. Usually, I have not had a chance to watch the ones in this tournament, but I've been following along with the results. And I have a Facebook friend whose son is on that team. So I get like the insider updates via social media every time I log in because the algorithm knows I love Charlotte FC. So it feeds me this one person's post who like I'd never talked to in day-to-day life. And man, our U17s being 2 wins away from a national championship. The only hardware that we have that I'm aware of is a Goalie Wars belt. Give him the belt, baby. Isaac is a beast. Crown Legacy. I cannot wait until he's healthy and back doing his thing again to the full extent. But I know he's getting back into full form, rehabbing. I would love to see us get a championship trophy.
I will say I agree with you. The younger league, they do really, really well. I've seen a couple of them in person, and the growth, and everything has been really, really good. But I do have a question to kind of pivot in a way because, like I said, I'm still kind of learning soccer and everything. So I know you mentioned on that red card, if this was in the UK or maybe in a Mexican league, that would have been a yellow. Do you think MLS referees are kind of soft, or they just don't allow as much aggressive play as if you were in Europe or another league?
Great question. And let me tell you, just completely from my heart, I think MLS are the most shit referees in the entire fucking world. These MLS referees are worse than CONCACAF referees. At least then you know you're going to get shafted. Pro referees are abysmal. With MLS, you expect the best because they get paid the most money of any refereeing union in the world. And they still put out analytically data-driven worst performances. If anybody else wants to jump in, feel free. But it's not just Charlotte. It is Nashville. It is Atlanta. Every team agrees. So I'll turn it over to somebody else who maybe is more level-headed.
I would say it's uneven at best. I think there are some referees that do a better job, but then you get games like the game Saturday night where the guy was letting everything go until the last, 10 or 15 minutes a game, and then the yellow cards were coming out left and right, and he lost control of the game.
Like, Glenn, in other leagues that you watch, have you seen referees lose control of the game more often than this?
Probably not. But
okay. Well, Len is the most level-headed person literally in this chat. So if that's his opinion and nobody else wants to jump in, I think we can leave it at that. Zumi, I appreciate that. It's a very good question. I mean, they give preference to teams that have been in the league for a long time, players that have been in the league for a long time, or have a name brand. And we don't have any of that. We all get shafted with these referees unless we're on their list.
I mean, can anybody name a game where we actually ended up with a real advantage? I always feel, and I hate to say this, I hate to complain about refereeing. I really do. Especially, I'm a hockey fan also, and I hate to complain about refereeing. But if I know the referees' names, there's a problem. It's because they're typically a problem, you know?
Yeah.
But I never feel like while we might get a call here and there in a game, I always feel like when it comes to our team, we are always on the short end of the stick. We are always the one with the most yellows. We are typically the ones with the most fouls. And that's not to say that a lot of those fouls or yellows aren't deserved. I'm not saying that. But it just seems like the other team commits just as many, but we end up officially with them on paper and in the book, and the other team doesn't.
Going back to the ref issue, I've been watching the Euro Championships, and the biggest stark difference I've noticed is that the refs in Europe, they barely ever blow those whistles. Unlike here in MLS, where it's almost every single play, we've got a referee blowing the whistle for something. What I'm seeing is in Europe, those teams are actually allowed to play the game. Like the plays go through uninterrupted. The fouls aren't nearly as intense. Ultimately, the refs in Europe allow the play to go unless it's a clear and obvious foul. Here with the refs, it's like the refs here seem to have a chip on their shoulder, like they feel like they have to prove something, especially when they hear the crowd yelling, "Ref, you suck." All of a sudden, it just seems like, okay, well, if that's how the fans feel, let me show them exactly what I can do to this game. Because it seemed like right before Scotty got that red card, there was some kind of foul or something that Chapman didn't call for us, and almost immediately, basically from the support section, where I was sitting tonight, and that end of the stadium, like all of a sudden you heard people screaming, "Ref, you suck! Ref, you suck!" And then, like within 10 minutes, Scotty got that red card. So I don't know. I feel like our refs here, for whatever reason, feel like they have something to prove. And as you said, I think it was Len or Luke, um, because we're one of the newer teams, Charlotte tends to get shafted more times than any other team, and it always seems like our big players like Patrick, for example, they can get fouled left, right, and center, and those refs will swallow the whistle. But Kalina takes a few seconds to try and get the team into position to kick a ball to him, and he gets a yellow card. Or in Scotty's case, which I agree, I think that was a yellow. He gets yellow because of a late challenge, but then Orlando gets to basically almost take out Patrick's kneecap and nothing. So there's for me, I feel like the refs here, if they're being trained and they're supposedly the best trained, I don't know who's doing the training. I personally feel like they need to be sat down in a room and forced to watch how European refs officiate games in Europe and be told that's what you need to do.
I went to go check because I know you're saying with like the younger teams. We are fourth in MLS in yellow cards with 51, but are 16th in fouls.
Does that sound fair
No,
to
it
you?
does not.
Hey, look, it's Juneteenth, so I want to celebrate Black excellence. And Charlotte FC has a history of it, from Derek Jones to Patrick Ajiman to Soccer Sheet, which put out an amazing article today about the brothers. Sam, do you want to jump in and help me out here?
Yeah, it's the Anjo brothers. Not to mention, I think something that also got missed in all the festivities is that, speaking of Black excellence, Anton's daughter and partner were there tonight. His daughter held the game ball as part of the celebration. I thought that was a really touching moment. And last week I was having like a longer type conversation with Kalina. We talked about the press conference that Callie did after the Inter Miami game last year, how meaningful it was for him when he saw Ashley walk out with Anton's daughter before the match, and how that basically just gave him an extra boost. He brought a clean sheet against Lionel Messi. That just continues to speak to Anton's legacy as well.
Sam, thank you so much. I should have mentioned Anton because he is the player that I would most like to have on my jersey. One of my favorite players for his performance on the field, and obviously everything since. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. We have Billy and Joe and Len. Final thoughts. What do we think going forward for Charlotte FC? We have some road games ahead of us. Philadelphia.
I would ask, they just lost Carranza, so they lost their nine up top. And I think another player got hurt. So, what the mood around their club is would be interesting to know, and how they see the rest of their season panning out. They also lost a tough game late tonight, 4-3 against, was it Miami? Hold on.
Cincy.
We talked to a Philadelphia podcast on Monday night. They're not really happy with their season right now. Their supporters groups are really upset with their front office, with their ownership. So that's the way we got. That's what we took from it, is that they're just struggling. They can't find their groove, and their fans are now not really happy at all.
which seems to make sense. I think it's about Dino's got to manage minutes for these guys and still try to get results until we get more reinforcements in. It's kind of been the story for the last couple of months now.
Philadelphia has also only won one game at home this year.
Yeah.
That's insane. Honestly, like that is the most shocking statistic that I've heard tonight. Philadelphia has won one game at home through pushing 20 games, I would assume.
Yeah, they've played
Total?
9 games at home. They're 1-5-3.
Goodness.
Philly's not having a great time right now, but they might be out for blood on Saturday because they equalized in stoppage time. And then since he got the winner at like 90 plus 10, so that can't be a good feeling. But it's also a far cry from like the Philadelphia that was known for having an amazing academy and having homegrowns like the Aronson brothers, and it is tough to be a Philadelphia sports fan right now. Here, if you want a mind-blowing Philly stat, Brendan Aronson, 2019, was the runner-up for the MLS All-Star. And, of course, now is playing men's national team and getting minutes and going back to Leeds from Union Berlin. You know who the All-Star was that year, right?
Who was the All-Star?
Andrei Shinyushiki.
Jesus Christ. No way. No way. What team was he with?
Rapids, Colorado Rapids.
Oh my God. Number one overall MLS Super Draft pick, right?
Yeah, and at the very least, Rookie of the Year. Brendan Aronson, of all people, lost out on Rookie of the Year to Andre.
Oh my God. All right. Well, let's move on to a more important matter of business, which is the Philadelphia Union, a team that is known for their youth academy, has never signed a player over $2 million. Nikola Pekovic, $3 million. So let's see how that goes. I got more content to give you guys on that. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Queen's Pitch. Do you have any final thoughts for tonight about Charlotte FC?
I just think that we have a lot of positivity. I think, I'm optimistic about the team. I was a little worried that we didn't have a shooter, we didn't have a DP, but we have guys that we don't need an inner messy team. I think that we have guys that really are out there and they're working hard and they're doing what they can to win for us and for our city. And to me, that means everything in the world. So I'm very proud of our team just for their resilience.
I love that. I love our team. The resilience, like you said. We have an away stretch, a few away games in a row coming up. So it is for the crown, and I will catch you guys later.